Welcome to another episode. My name is Carly. I'm a dietitian and trainer talking about all things fitness and nutrition. In today's episode, we're going to tackle a topic that comes up all the time, which is debunking different protein myths. There's a common belief in the fitness and wellness world that more protein equals more muscle, but the truth, even though protein is extremely important, saying that more is a myth, and it can actually be detrimental to goals. So today I'm breaking down why more isn't better when it comes to building muscle, a baseline of what realistic protein needs are, and how to safely optimize protein for your health and fitness goals. Before we get into it, you can visit my website, carlywilliamsfitness.com, to check out my home workout program, some dietitian-inspired recipes, and the link to my nutrition course. So let's start with the basics on why protein matters. Protein is obviously essential. It is the building block of our muscles, hormones, enzymes, and basically every cell in the body. It's critical for things like muscle repair, immune function, and overall health. But the important point of this episode is to note that just because your body needs protein doesn't mean that more is always better. Your body can only use a certain amount of protein at a time for muscle repair and growth, which we'll get into, but any excess protein beyond what your body can utilize won't build extra muscle. It's either broken down and eliminated, or if consistently overconsumed, it can place unnecessary stress on the metabolism. So the key is finding the right balance to support your goals, again, without overdoing it. So think of protein as both fuel and building material for your body. When you eat enough, it helps repair muscle tissue, supports recovery, and keeps your body functioning properly. Too little protein, your body can struggle to repair, grow, or maintain strength, and your muscles and overall energy may suffer. But too much protein doesn't, again, mean more gains. Your body can only use so much at a time, and the excess isn't wasted harmlessly. It can create unnecessary stress on your kidneys and metabolism in the longer term. So the goal is finding the right balance, giving your body exactly what it needs to recover, grow, and thrive without overdoing it. So where does this myth come from? Honestly, a lot of it stems, I think, from the fitness and bodybuilding communities. For years, protein has been marketed as like this magic bullet for building muscle. If you think of all the protein powders, bars, shakes, supplements plastered across like gym ads, social media, etc. And I think the message just has been drilled into us. If you want muscle, you need as much protein as possible. And while protein is essential for growth and recovery, I think the idea that unlimited amounts equals unlimited muscle is simply just not true. So here's what the science tells us. Your body has a threshold for how much protein it can use effectively for muscle repair and growth at one time, so like in one sitting. This process is called muscle protein synthesis, and research shows that it typically maxes out around 20 to 30 grams of protein per meal for the average adult. So again, this is just on average. Obviously, many people, it may be more than this number, some it may be less, but again, science says that it's around 20 to 30 grams. So beyond that, you don't need to keep adding protein to build muscle. It's like trying to pour more water into a cup that's already full. The excess protein just doesn't contribute to extra gains in that moment. Now, this doesn't mean that protein beyond 30 grams instantly goes to waste. It can still be used for other important functions in your body, like producing hormones, enzymes, supporting the immune system, etc. But if we're talking specifically, again, about muscle build, eating 60 grams of protein in one sitting isn't going to double your results compared to eating 30 grams. There are many people that may need more than 30 grams in one meal for sure, especially when we're talking about intense athletes. But that's, again, just for overall recovery and performance, not necessarily just about like building more muscle. And while athletes, strength trainers, or people that do exercise very intensely definitely need more protein over the course of a day, they're still not absorbing it all in one giant meal. What really matters is spreading that protein intake across the day to optimize it so your body gets multiple opportunities to stimulate muscle growth and recovery. So for the average person, the takeaway is simple. Adequate protein after a workout is key, but you don't need to chase huge protein numbers or slam like these crazy protein shakes after every workout. Focus on meeting your overall daily needs and make sure that protein is evenly distributed between meals and snacks. That strategy is far more effective and far more sustainable than trying to pack it in all at once, which we'll talk more about in a second. If you are an intense athlete, strength trainer, bodybuilder, etc., then yes, you will need more protein than the average adult for sure. But again, not a crazy excess at one sitting. So how much protein do you really need? Let's break down what protein needs actually look like, because this is where so much of the confusion starts. So going back to science, for the general adult population, the recommended dietary allowance, or RDA, is about 0.8 grams per kilogram of body weight per day. So these guidelines, the RDA, is really just like the average amount for the average adult needed to keep you alive and functioning, but is not necessarily like the optimal target. So for people who are more active, whether you lift weights, run, cycle, or just move your body regularly, your protein needs obviously go up. So research consistently shows that intake between 1.2 to 2 grams per kilogram of body weight per day are more effective for supporting lean muscle recovery and performance. So just as like a random example, for a 150-pound person, and that would mean around 80 to 135 grams a day, depending on individual goals, needs, and training intensity. Now, athletes, people recovering from injury or illness, or people with specific medical conditions often need more individualized targets, but the exact number should be tailored carefully. So, again, more protein isn't automatically better and should be determined on an individual basis. The big picture here is that protein needs are obviously not one size fits all. Nothing is with nutrition. They shift based on your age, activity level, training style, and overall health. A 65-year-old trying to preserve muscle mass may need like a different approach than a 20-year-old athlete building strength. Both need protein, but how much and how it's distributed across the day matters a lot. One of the most common mistakes I see, again, are people either underestimating how much protein they're eating or trying to cram it all into one giant meal or shake, like I said before. So like I said, about 30 grams per meal is adequate on average for muscle build. Beyond that, you're not necessarily building more muscle in that sitting. And I think it's good to focus on other macronutrients as well. So the most effective strategy here is spreading your protein intake throughout the day. And it can really look however you want. But just as an example, think of it like giving your body multiple chances again to build and repair, not just one. So maybe for breakfast, you aim for about 20 grams, for lunch and dinner, maybe 30 grams each, and then like a few more grams before you go to bed, again, depending on your overall individual like daily needs. Another mistake I see is people overlooking plant-based proteins or thinking they like don't count, and they absolutely do. So foods like beans, lentils, tofu, nuts, seeds, etc., they're not only solid protein sources, but they also bring around other important nutrients like fiber, vitamins, and minerals that animal proteins don't. So a mix of both plant and animal proteins can easily help meet your needs when you plan it well. And finally, I want to briefly touch on the risks of too much protein. Like I mentioned in the beginning, there are really two main risks to look out for with too much protein. Number one is kidney stress. Two is a nutrient imbalance. So with kidney stress, excessive protein over long periods can be taxing, especially for individuals with pre-existing kidney issues. So obviously eating an extremely high protein diet may not affect the kidneys right away, but if this is done years at a time, that's where people can start to see problems, especially when they're older. And then two, nutrient imbalance. If your diet is extremely protein heavy, you may be crowding out other important nutrients like fiber, healthy fats, complex carbs, vitamins, and minerals. Everyone's macro breakdown, so carbs, protein, and fat, can vary significantly depending on individual needs, training style, and medical conditions. There's no single perfect percentage that fits all. I say that all the time, and I've mentioned that multiple times in my episodes, but balance still matters. Carbohydrates are the body's preferred fuel during exercise and high-intensity training, while healthy fats support hormone balance, brain health, and recovery. Fiber keeps your digestion and gut health on track, which directly impacts everything from nutrient absorption to immune function. And then micronutrients like iron, calcium, magnesium, and B vitamins, so our vitamins and minerals, are essential for energy production and bone health. So it's really all about the big picture. Without this balance, you may be hitting your protein targets, but still feel sluggish, underfueled, or notice plateaus in your performance. Muscle growth, endurance, and recovery don't come from just protein alone. They come from a well-rounded diet that gives your body all the building blocks it needs to perform and thrive. So the take-home message is this: more protein is not automatically better. It does not automatically help to build more muscle. It's about balance, timing, and the right amount for your body and your individual needs. And quality sources, moderate intake, and distribution throughout the day will help you optimize your performance, recovery, and overall health. 3 practical tips and takeaways. Number 1, know your needs. Most adults don't need, again, extreme protein intakes. Stick to general guidelines and adjust for activity and health factors. And just take note what works for you and what number of protein per day that you feel your best. You can trial and error a little bit and notice when you feel the most satisfied and energized throughout the day and adjust from there. 2, distribute your protein. Again, don't dump all your protein in one meal. Try to spread it across for breakfast, lunch, dinner, and snacks. And then 3, focus on quality proteins. Choose whole, minimally processed sources like lean meats, eggs, dairy, legumes, tofu, nuts, and seeds. And remember, protein is just one piece of the puzzle. Balanced nutrition, regular movement, sleep, stress management all work together to support your health and fitness goals. If you keep these principles in mind, you'll be fueling your body for performance and recovery without falling for the more is more myth. Thanks so much for tuning in, and remember, do not listen to just anybody online who gives nutrition advice. I hope this episode helped clear up some confusion around protein and gave some practical ways to optimize your intake. Again, you can visit my website, carlywilliamsfitness.com, to learn more about my home workout program with dumbbell, kettlebell, and resistance band workouts, my on-demand nutrition coaching course, and some free, easy, realistic dietitian-inspired recipes. Thank you so much for listening, and I will see you in the next one.